Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Danvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. As you know, we were reading Teachings of Lord Caitanya a while back, and it got discontinued due to various reasons. Everybody was very busy with their lives. But Raksha Mataji and I were talking a few days back, and we thought whoever is reading the book could read and record and share it in the group. In this way, we can cover more chapters because it will be hard for everybody to get together, especially at the same time. So let's see if this way of reading works for anybody. So I will just read a few paragraphs and see what you think. I will say a quick Manglacharan. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Bol. So we had finished reading chapter 1 and we are now reading chapter 2, Sanatan Goswami. Vande Nanta Put Aishwaryam Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhum Nichopi Yat Prasadat Syad Bhakti Shastra Pravartaka. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by whose mercy even a person in the lowest status of life can find direction in transcendental devotional service to the Lord. So looks like this is Sanatan Goswami's prayer to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his glorification. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never looked at anybody's status or qualification. So Nicho P, by whose grace, by whose prasada, even a niche person, a lower qualification, lower status of life, lower caste, can achieve transcendental devotional service to the Lord and find direction in their life. After Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the renounced order of life, sannyas, he traveled all over India. During this period, he went to Malda, a district in Bengal. In that area, there was a village named Ramkeli, where two government ministers of the Nawab Hussain Shah's regime lived. These two ministers, who were brothers, were named the Bir Khas and Sakar Malik. Later, they were renamed Rup Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, respectively. They had a chance to meet Lord Chaitanya, and afterwards they decided to retire from government service and join his Sankirtan movement. Hare Krishna. So I know that Rakshita Mataji and Raksha Mataji definitely are familiar with this story. I'm not so sure about Sheetal Mataji and Anita Mataji, but this is the time after Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had taken sannyas, and he's traveling all over the country spreading his Sankirtan movement, giving Harinam to different people. And he had thousands of followers, and his fame had spread all over the country. And at that time, in Bengal, in this Malda district of Bengal, there was a village called Ramkeli, and the ruler of that village was Nawab Hussain. And under his regime, so Nawab Hussain is a Muslim ruler, under his regime, two ministers were working. One was the Bir Khas, who was actually Rup Goswami, and Sakar Malik, who was Sanatan Goswami. So these were the names. So these are Hindu. So Rup Goswami and Sanatan Goswami are born in Hindu families. But when they were employed by Nawab Hussain, he had changed their names to Muslim names, the Bir Khas and Sakar Malik. So they were serving him. And he was forcibly, because they were very efficient at what they were doing, very good at their job. So he was forcibly keeping them in his service and paying them nicely, and they were already from a very rich family. As you know, they were brothers, right? Rup Goswami, Sanatan. There were three brothers actually: Rup Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and Anupam Goswami. And so these two brothers were from a very wealthy family, and now they were having to serve under this Muslim ruler under these names, the Birkhas and Sakar Malik. And they had intense desire to meet Lord Chaitanya. They had heard about him. They wanted to join his Sankirtan party. They had this burning desire in them that they wanted to meet Lord Chaitanya. So they finally did get a chance to meet Lord Chaitanya when he was visiting that particular village, Ramkeli. When he was going through that village, they found a chance to meet them. And when they met him, they decided that they have to quit this service of this Nawab Hussain and join the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay. Upon making this decision, the two brothers at once took steps to leave their material engagements and appointed two learned Brahmanas to perform certain Vedic religious rituals that would enable them to achieve complete freedom for the devotional service of Krishna. These preliminary ritualistic functions are known as Purascharya. They require that 3 times a day one worship and offer respects to one's forefathers, offer oblations to a fire, and respectfully offer food to a learned Brahmana. 5 items: the time, the worship, the offering of respect, the offering of oblations into the fire, and the offering of food to a Brahmana constitute Purascharya. These and other rituals are mentioned in the Hari Bhakti Vilas as an authoritative book of directions for Vaishnavas. So once they made this decision that we have to leave the service of Nawab Hussain and join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they wanted to leave their material engagements, right? They wanted to quit their job, give up all this material engagements, and serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So for that, they started making arrangements. So what did they do? They found two Brahmanas, very learned Brahmanas, who knew the proper method of worship for Vaishnavas. So remember, here we are not talking about Karm Kanda worship. We are not talking about Karm Kanda mentioned in the Vedas. These are different vidhis that are followed by Vaishnavas that are mentioned in Hari Bhakti Vilas or in the Narad Panchratriki book of Panchratriki vidhis mentioned in that book of Narad Panchratriki. So by those vidhis, the ritualistic functions are performed by the Vaishnavas. So what did they do? They started performing these Vedic rituals that were called Purascharya, and that will enable them to achieve complete freedom for the devotional service of Krishna. Meaning they will be able to give up. So when somebody gives up their material engagements, their family life, and starts takes sannyas or vanpras, they have to do these ritualistic functions, right? And so they found two learned brahmanas who could do these for them. This is called Purascharya, which included 5 items. So they have to give some time. 3 times a day they have to offer respects and worship their forefathers, like Pitridan basically. So they have to worship, they have to give time, they have to offer respects, they have to offer oblations into the fire, and they have to offer food to the Brahmanas. So these 5 things have to be given: the time, the worship, the respect, the food to Brahmanas, and oblations into the fire. They started doing these. And in whatever rituals were done will enable them to give up the life of material karmi life and start the bhakti life. After arranging for the performance of these religious rituals, the younger brother, the Birkhas, Rup Goswami, returned home with an immense amount of money which he had acquired during his government service. The silver and gold coins he brought back filled a large pot. After arriving home, he first divided the accumulated wealth in half and distributed one part to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Thus, for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he distributed 50% of his accumulated wealth to persons engaged in the Supreme Lord's transcendental loving services. Brahmanas are meant to understand the absolute truth, and once they understand the absolute truth and actually engage in the loving service of the Lord, they are known as Vaishnavas. Both Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are supposed to be fully engaged in transcendental service. And Rup Goswami considered their important transcendental position, gave them 50% of his wealth. The balance he again divided in half. One part he distributed to his relatives and dependent family members, and the other he kept for personal emergencies. So this is very important actually, and we have discussed actually this before. I know this is a very famous pastime that, so the younger brother, the Birkhas, Rup Goswami, he he was the first one to quit the government service of Nawab Hussain, and all the money he had collected, a lot of money, he put that in a large boat and reached home. What did he do with that money? And this is what grastas are supposed to do. Like we are supposed to do this. We supposed to divide our accumulated wealth in half and give that half to Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Of the second half, further 50% is given to one's dependents, relatives, basically to the family, and the remaining 50%, so now this 50% is what, this is 25%, right? This you keep for personal emergency. So 1/4 you're keeping for yourself, 1/4 you're giving to your family, and half you're giving to Brahmanas and Vaishnavas who are engaged in the transcendental loving service. And here, key point to be noted is the Prabhupada has mentioned difference between Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, because they are not interchangeable terms. Remember that Vaishnavas have a position superior to the Brahmanas, right? They are next level. So not all Brahmanas are Vaishnavas, but Vaishnavas are always Brahmanas. Key point to understand here. So Brahmanas are the ones who have understanding of Brahman, right? People that have the knowledge of Brahman or absolute truth are Brahmanas. So they understand who is Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Bhagavan, Paramatma, and Brahman. And once they understand, then they have to engage in the service of the Lord. Not all Brahmanas are doing that. Okay, so Brahmanas means people who have understood the absolute truth and they have Brahmanical qualities and qualifications. They understand the scriptures, and they have complete full knowledge of the absolute truth. Once they understand, then they have to engage in service. So service is the key. Without service, one cannot get anywhere. So if Brahmanas understand the knowledge, have Brahmanical qualities, qualifications, but are not engaging in service, then they can achieve liberation maybe, but they cannot achieve the Param Dham of Krishna. They cannot go back to Godhead. So there is a difference. Moksha may be available to them, but not the Param Gati of Dham Nivas. So that is the difference between Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas are the ones who not only understand the knowledge, who have Brahmanical qualities and qualifications, but who also engage in the loving service, devotional service of the Lord. So they are the practitioners of the bhakti. Okay, they are supposed to fully engage in transcendental service, as you see here written. So that is how Rup Goswami, or the Birkhas, the younger brother, divided his wealth. Such distribution of personal wealth is very instructive for all who desire to be elevated in spiritual knowledge. Generally, a person bequeaths all his accumulated wealth to his family members and then retires from family activities to make progress in spiritual knowledge. But here we find the behavior of Rup Goswami to be exemplary. He gave 50% of his wealth for spiritual purposes. This should serve as an example for everyone. 25% of his accumulated wealth he kept for personal emergencies, was deposited with a Bengali grocer, since in those days there were no banks. 10,000 coins were deposited for expenditure to be incurred by his elder brother Sanatan Goswami. So we have already discussed this, how the wealth should be divided. We should not just give all our wealth to our family. This is what Rup Goswami did. That is the proper way of distributing one's wealth. And he deposited that 25% that he kept for personal emergencies with a Bengali grocer. And out of that, 10,000 coins he also kept for his elder brother Sanatan Goswami for various expenditures. Okay. At this time, Rup Goswami received information that Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu was preparing to go to Vrindavan from Jagannath Puri. Rup Goswami sent 2 messengers to get actual information of the Lord's itinerary, and he made his own plans to go to Mathura to meet the Lord. It appears that Rup Goswami got permission to join Lord Chaitanya, but Sanatan Goswami did not. Therefore, Sanatan Goswami entrusted the responsibilities of his government service to his immediate assistants, and he remained at home to study Srimad Bhagavatam. He engaged 10 or 20 learned Brahmanas and began an intensive study of Srimad Bhagavatam in their company. While he was thus engaged, he submitted sick leave reports to his employer, the Nawab. But the ruler was so anxious for Sanatan Goswami's advice in government matters that one day he suddenly appeared at his house. When the Nawab entered the room where Sanatan Goswami and the Brahmanas were assembled, out of respect, they all stood up to receive him, and they offered him a place to sit. You have submitted sick reports, the Nawab told Sanatan Goswami, but I sent my physicians to see you, and he reported that you have no illness at all. Since I did not know why you submitted sick reports and not attending to your service, I have personally come to see you. I am much perturbed by your behavior. As you know, I completely depend on you and your responsible work in the government. I was free to act in other matters because I was depending on you. But if you do not join me, your past devotion will be spoiled. Now, what is your intention? Please tell me. So, so this is what happened. Sanatan Goswami was able, Rup Goswami was able to get out of the service of Nawab Hussain, right? And he distributed his wealth, and he decided to meet Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Mathura. So he heard that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is traveling from Jagannath Puri, right? He was living in Jagannath Puri after sannyas, and he was traveling to Vrindavan. So on the way, Mathura will come. So he thought, okay, I will meet Lord in Mathura. He decided to go there. Okay. Meanwhile, when Rup Goswami was making these plans, what happened with Sanatan Goswami, the elder brother? He was stuck in Nawab's service. He was not given permission to leave because Nawab really relied on his services. He was a very responsible minister of the government, and his services were he was very efficient and very good at his job. So the Nawab really needed his help. But Sanatan Goswami stopped going to work, and he started submitting sick reports to the Nawab. And instead, at home, he started studying Srimad Bhagavatam in company of several Brahmanas, 10 or 20 Brahmanas. And as you see, one day Nawab just paid a surprise visit and saw that Sanatan Goswami was not sick at all, and he chastised him that I need your help at my work, and you are submitting sick reports when you are not sick at all. So what is your intention? So I don't think you're responsible with your work. So tell me. On hearing this, Sanatan Goswami replied that he was unable to work anymore, and that it would be very kind of the Nawab to appoint someone else to execute the work that had been entrusted to him. At this, the Nawab became very angry and said, "Your elder brother lives like a hunter, and if you retire from the administration, everything will be finished." It was said that the Nawab used to treat Sanatan Goswami like a younger brother. Since the Nawab was principally engaged in conquering different parts of the country and also in hunting, he depended largely on Sanatan Goswami for government administration. Thus, he pleaded with him, "If you retire from government service, how will the administration be run?" So Nawab was so Sanatan Goswami told him that I cannot work for you anymore. Please please appoint somebody else and let me leave this work. Please excuse me from the work that was entrusted to me, and please appoint somebody else as a minister. So this Nawab was very angry because he wanted to do his hunting and other things, and he relied on Sanatan Goswami a lot for all the work because he was hardly paying attention to the administration. And now seeing that Sanatan Goswami will leave all the work, Nawab did not like that idea because he just wanted Sanatan Goswami to carry on his duties like before. And Nawab himself was just mainly engaged in hunting and conquering different parts of the country, bringing them under his rule and those kind of things. So he was very unhappy and he pleaded with him. So Sanatan Goswami, what did he say to him? He said, "You are the governor of God." Sanatan Goswami replied very gravely, "And you punish different kinds of criminals in different ways. So you are at liberty to punish anyone according to his activity." By this reply, Sanatan Goswami indicated that since the governor was engaged in hunting animals and in killing men to expand his kingdom, let both of them suffer. according to the acts they were performing. The Nawab, being intelligent, understood Sanatan Goswami's purport. He left the house in an angry mood, and shortly thereafter, he went off to conquer Orissa. He ordered the arrest of Sanatan Goswami and commanded that he be held until the Nawab returned. So basically, Sanatan Goswami gave him an indirect reply that, you kill animals, you kill men to expand your kingdom, and kill animals just for fun, right? Hunting is basically for a sport for these rulers. So you're just killing animals for sport and killing men to expand your kingdom. So you're punishing these people for no reason, right? Um, so those people, so let them just suffer according to these activities, or you will, he basically indicated that he was not happy with the kind of work he was being made to do. Very, very heinous, very ugra karma this is generating, very pungent activities. These are very criminal activities. Basically, these are not activities that should be done by a pious soul. These will lead to the degeneration of the soul, killing men and killing animals just for sense gratification. So this is what he indicated by saying this. So you're punishing people basically according to your own whims, is what he's saying. You're at liberty to punish anyone according to his activity. Like, you're just doing whatever whimsical activities, shastrical crimes, right? Against the shastrical injunctions, you are doing things which I don't agree with, is basically he's implying. And when Nawab heard this, he was very intelligent, so he understood what he was implying, and he ordered his arrest and himself went off to Odisha to expand his kingdom and conquer Odisha as well, and got Sanatan Goswami arrested. When Rup Goswami learned that the Nawab had arrested his elder brother Sanatan, Rup sent Sanatan a message that he could use the 10,000 coins in the care of the Bengali grocer to secure his release from the Nawab's detention. Having sent this message, Rup departed for Vrindavan with his younger brother Vallabh to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After receiving Rup Goswami's message, Sanatan offered 5,000 of the coins to the keeper of the jail in which he was being held in custody. He advised the jailkeeper to gladly accept the 5,000 coins from him and let him go, because by accepting the money, he would not only be materially benefited, but would also be acting very righteously by freeing Sanatan for spiritual purposes. So this is straightforward, right? So Rup Goswami heard that his brother had been captured by Nawab. He was in his detention. So he said, the 10,000 coins that I've kept for you, use that money to get out of the jail. And Sanatan Goswami did that. He used half of that 5,000 coins to bribe whoever the custodian was or keeper of the jail was, bribed him that, let me go, you will get some sukriti, because I am going to perform a lot of spiritual activity. By letting me go for spiritual purpose, you will get spiritual credit, plus I'm giving you 5,000 coins, so this is material benefit as well. So in all ways you are benefited. And Nawab has gone somewhere, so nobody will realize, so just let me go. In this way he bribed him. So and now here looks like they have 4 brothers. I was under the impression there were 3 brothers, but the oldest brother I know is Anupam. Then the next is Sanatan Goswami, then Rup Goswami, and then looks like they have a younger brother also, Vallabh. Okay, so Anupam Goswami's son is Jeev Goswami, if you understand, right? So basically, Jeev Goswami is the nephew of Rup and Sanatan Goswami. You don't have to remember all their names, but I think just remember there are 4 brothers, of which the middle 2, Rup and Sanatan Goswami, are the most prominent, because they're out of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan that will take teachings from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we have already read the teachings to Rup Goswami before. And remember, out of Rup and Sanatan Goswami is older, right? That's why he let the younger brother go first. Rup Goswami got out first. So Rup Goswami is younger, Sanatan is older. Okay. So what did jailkeeper say? Of course, I would like to let you go, the jailkeeper replied, for you have done many services for me and you are in government services. But I am afraid of Nawab. When he hears that you are free, I will have to explain everything to him. How can I expect such a proposal? Sanatan then invented a story the jailkeeper might submit to the Nawab to explain how he had escaped, and he raised his offer to 10,000 coins. Anxious to get the money, the jailkeeper agreed and let him go. So this is straightforward. He said, I'll give you 10,000 coins, and he even told him a story that he can tell Nawab so that the jailkeeper doesn't get in trouble. And in this way, he used up all the money. So now Sanatan Goswami was released from the jail and he has no money, right? And he's basically bribing his way out of the jail and fleeing to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? This is where we are. Let's read just a little bit more, at least half the chapter. Sanatan then departed to see the Lord. He did not travel on the open road but went through the jungles until he arrived at a place in Bihar called Patada. There he rested in a hotel, but the hotel keeper was informed by an astrologer employed there that Sanatan Goswami had some gold coins with him. The hotel keeper, wanting to steal the money, spoke to Sanatan with superficial respect. Just take your rest tonight, and in the morning I shall arrange for you to get out of this jungle trap. So this is a very famous pastime, often recounted by devotees. So what happened? So Sanatan is now fled the jail, and he is traveling to meet the Lord. Somewhere in Bihar. So remember, he's starting from Bengal, right? He was in Ramkeli village, and now he reached Bihar. And there is a place called Patada where he stopped to take rest. He stayed in like a inn or hotel, and there was an astrologer staying there. So this astrologer, by his powers, he deduced that Sanatan Goswami has some kind of money, some gold coins or something, and he told innkeeper. So actually this innkeeper used to do that. This astrologer was in his service, and what would astrologer do? He would tell if any of the guest has some money, so that they can somehow steal the money overnight while the guest is staying, and uh, the guest would just think that some thief stole it in the night, and the astrologer would know that somebody has money um, by their powers, mystic powers, or astrological knowledge or something. So the innkeeper was being superficially nice to Sanatan Goswami and said, why don't you just rest tonight, and I will make arrangements for you to leave in the morning. But Sanatan was suspicious of his behavior, and he inquired from his servant Ishan whether he had some money. Ishan told him that he had 7 gold coins. Sanatan did not like the idea of the servant carrying such money. He became angry with him and said, why do you carry this death knell on the road? So Sanatan Goswami obviously did not have any money. Now he realized that innkeeper is up to no good, just by the superficial shubri way that innkeeper was talking to him. So he became suspicious that maybe they are after some kind of money, but I don't have any money. So Sanatan's Goswami had a servant traveling with him, Ishan. He asked him, Ishan, do you have any money? And he said, yes, I have 7 gold coins. So Sanatan Goswami got upset with him. You shouldn't keep this kind of money with you while on the road, because these people are probably after our money, after your money. So Sanatan at once took the gold coins and offered them to the hotel keeper. He then requested the hotel keeper to help him through the jungle. Sanatan informed him that he was on a special journey for the government, and that since he could not travel on the open road, it would be very kind of the hotel keeper to help him through the jungle and over the hills. The hotel keeper replied, I learned that you had 8 coins with you, and I was thinking of killing you to take them. But I can understand that you are a very good man. So you don't have to offer me the money. I will get you over this hilly tract of land. If you don't accept these coins, then someone else will take them from me, Sanatan replied. Someone will kill me for them, so it is better that you take them. I offer them to you. The hotel keeper then gave him full assistance, and that very night he helped him get past the hills. So I think this is straightforward. So Sanatan Goswami, once he realized that innkeeper's intentions were not honest, and that his own servant was carrying some money, he took the money from the servant and offered it to the innkeeper, and he said, you keep this money and just help me to get out of this jungle. So he was not traveling on the open road because he was fleeing from the government services. He did not want to be captured, so he was traveling through the jungle. And so he said, let's just help me go through the hills and tell me what roads to take through the hills, through this jungle, so that I can get to my destination, and I'll give you this money, this gold coins. So innkeeper tried to refuse. He felt bad. He said, I knew that you had gold coins with you, but you seem to be an honest man, good man, so I don't want to take your money. I'll just show you the way. He said, no, just take this money, because when I'm going through the jungle, somebody can rob me for this money and maybe even kill me for this money. So it's best that you use it, and just tell me how to get through the jungle. When Sanatan emerged from the hills, he requested his servant to go home with the one coin he still had with him, for Sanatan decided he would go on alone. After the departure of his servant, Sanatan felt completely free. With torn clothing and with a water pot in his hand, he proceeded towards Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. On the way, he met his rich brother-in-law, who was also in the government service, and who offered him an excellent blanket, which Sanatan accepted at his special request. Then he departed from him and went on alone to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Banaras. So this is so Sanatan Goswami traveled through the hills, and then he requested servant to go home. Servant still had one gold coin with him. He said, use this money and go home. I don't feel comfortable traveling with you. Let me travel alone. So he felt more free traveling by himself. So he let his servant go. So he was going through the jungle, just one pair of clothing on him, and which was also getting torn while traveling, and just water pot in his hand like a mandal, right? And as he was going, he traveled through the village where his rich brother-in-law lived. Now this rich brother-in-law gave him a blanket. This blanket is also very famous pastime, and what happened with it. So basically, Sanatan Goswami was given this very, very nice, very plush, beautiful blanket by his brother-in-law, who was also in government services and was making good amount of money, right? So he couldn't see the plight of his brother-in-law Sanatan, and he said, please keep this blanket as you're traveling through the forests and hills. That will keep you comfortable. So in this way, he was wearing torn clothing, a kamandal in his hand, and just that nice, very rich-looking blanket with him. And he went on to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and meet him in Banaras. Okay, I think we can stop here. We still have about less than half of this chapter to go, actually. So if time permits, I'll send another video tomorrow or day after. Please listen to this recording and tell me if this way of reading suits everybody. I've been trying this in another reading of another book as well, and it has been working well so far. So I thought I'll try with this also. Please let me know what you think. Let me know if there are any questions. Hare Krishna. Vancha kaltarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvise Namah. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.